right. I need your help for this one. So I want you to imagine that we're in a giant stadium, right? Packed full of people. It's not just us in a giant stadium. It's like everybody in a giant stadium. And in the middle of the song, and I'm like a famous musical artist. I'm at a tribute concert for Austin Ely, okay? And I'm playing this song, and I'm going to introduce him to the stage, and the sound cuts out, but I don't know, okay? And you guys don't tell me. You just try to hear, but you're not, okay? Just pretend, okay. I don't know why I'm doing this. Hey out there. We having a good time tonight? That's right. This one goes out to the man we're all here for. Austin Ely. You know, he's a great poet, great friend. Before I introduce him, I just want to sing him this song.
Feeling like I missed my cue there. Thanks, Christian. God, feels really nice to be back here. I don't know. I'm like 2 years graduated now, and coming here every month is a really nice excuse to just be in the room with everyone who I remember and everyone who I like from the program. It's a nice connection. So I have a bunch of poems. I'm going to start off with a couple of older ones. This first one was, I think, actually in my thesis manuscript of the program. St. Augustine, after the city in Florida, not the actual saint. A yellow sea spits shells into great piles. The admiral faces a gallows, head full of ocean. A static of crowd, and legion of rollers off into the long horizon. Each house has history, haphazard piles of rock, human wrecked, human wrought. Dark night always in the doused surf. Like a fire, 11 days falling, guttering silently out to land in hell, cold and small. This is also older, but was written after I left the program. And everything after this also. So none of this has had anyone else's eyes on it, which is, I think, a first for me. Sirius. A certain set of Aquarius's stars forms a line, compassing the arc to Sirius, wanderer, cruel point, bright and far away, set apart from the fire's sparks. You taught me the lines of stars and seasons, the lines of teepeed wood, all converging to the same bright spot. sure movement in shivering firelight. Your hands always knew when the coals needed feeding. And the rest of these were all written last month. I'm still in the process of revising them. Every month I try and do this really, probably far too much work, where I try and write a poem every day. So these are the good remnants of last September. Conversation. On certain evenings, bold bottled red and candle smoke. Blood, or something like it, alive on the lips of fleas. Flecks of light leave us, spalling away, signifying ricochet. Snow, the cold apartment, bare-eyed dawn binding white on black bark. We have been inside for so long. Texas Chainsaw Massacre without the Texas or chainsaw or massacre. A tumbleweed displaced in a desert of no name, a nation of no nation, the killing intent dispersed through the thirsty world, settled on cactus spines and foxtails, dissolved in the fetid salt pools which vanish after every rain. How lucky it is only light on a television in a dark room after the watchers have gone to bed, to lie awake feeling the first claws of a terror they cannot name, and dying each day a fraction of a death they cannot place. Instruction manual. Love it with all your bones until nothing more falls out of you. Then let nothing go. Inventory the pools of light in empty rooms. Take vitamins. Understand that strong bodies need strong skeletons. Turn earth to find the loam. Watch glaciers reduce mountains to sand. Let pressure and silence come home late when nothing lies alone in dark rooms, and count each breath like grains of rice. Feel nothing turn over. Listen for nothing to see if it will say, I love you, if it thinks you can't hear, and pretend to be asleep. Last night, a movie where we are the leading roles. We are covered in hands and let our fans see small facts of our lives. We are the leading cause of death for our characters, whose lives never end differently. Hard light on silvered silk approves the shadows. We are watching when our mother stops speaking. Late in the dark room, a half-eaten sob, the shadows of every black thing touching windows, our eyes becoming one thin line into the distance. Later, the phone locks like a loaded gun, and she has not moved. Ants under cellophane trace records of the giant thing unsaid, compass needles turning down the snarled lay. Her stillness like a bomb, our eyes not meeting, the small shoulders under shawled yarn turned inward. Our characters now point the telephone at their temples and let the dial tone prepare an exit wound. They come out smiling, the grim conclusion frozen on flickered screen, washed out by daylight, burned onto silk by each piece of dark. These last four or five were written on consecutive days, and these last three were written on consecutive days in a road trip I took in early September. Mostly eastern Washington, Montana, South Dakota. A lot about the American landscape. I thought they were good to end on. 1:17 a.m. Water lies in the curve of the road, along the ridge of paint separating darkness from darkness. The angled road and abrupt line form a crook like muscle and bone, like the small of your back. The moon once was a place you could go. There was always a line between the body and the body, dark, foreign, tidal, which is to say, unbearable. Ingredients. The rain and its closing response, the shuttered ballrooms of a dead hotel, incessant pain in your lower back, reminding you of bone-deep hurt, skulls half sunk by the deer-chewed cactus. I wanted to point the headlights up and follow the road into the sky The clouds behind us piled like mountains, road moving out of valley like a snaking tongue. Along the river, black trees, compound fractures from cultivated rows. Compound fractures, black teeth, the gray sky, the lips, the valley bearing down to swallow us whole before we get away for good. Night. Stop and turn the car around, 3,000 miles behind. The dreams come quickly. First, a child living in a burned shack points to knuckle bones in the frozen ground. 200 years of country written into the highway. A star burning cold above the far road calls out a wind-loud echo, sonar of the long void. In two places you looked upwards, maybe far enough apart that the parallax finally showed you the shape and depth of infinity. Thank you.